And we welcome you to the latest edition of Wake Up with Wilder. I'm Ted Alexander with Coach Bobby Wilder. 49-0, Coach, to App State. You mentioned the word embarrassment after the contest. Luckily, we don't have these situations very often, but you had a couple of days to think about it, to watch the tape. What did you see?
Yeah, that's what I called it after the game, and that's how the team, myself, all the coaches, that's how we want to own it. We felt embarrassed after that game. With the final score, in terms of the kids playing, competing, trying to do the right things, that was all there. This game didn't feel like the game last year to Marshall where we were down 28-0 and it looked like a blowout right from the start. It's a 7-0 game in the first quarter. I was concerned early that we were struggling to get things going offensively. The defense comes out on the first drive, gets a turnover, a big hit by Falante Misher, fumble recovery by TJ Ricks. Misher and Davila played a combined 17 tackles in this game, which is outstanding for those two. That's too many for your safeties to make. But it's 7-0 in the first quarter, Ted, and then offensively, we start to drive the ball. It felt like we could run it. Lowry had a 16-yard run early. I really feel like where the game turned was, when we drove down and didn't get points. We did that twice, Ted, in the first half, and one of them unfortunately came when it's 14-0. I think here we go. We're going to score. Schuler's hit a couple big passes, and then he goes to throw to an open guy, and the ball slips out of his hand, which reminded me last year of Taylor at Western Kentucky, where how does that happen? And they return it 77 yards for a touchdown, and then he responds. Schuler responds the next drive, 26-yard completion to Pascal, 43-yard completion to Little, and you're thinking, okay, it's going to be 21-7, and then we missed the short field goal, and at that point, 21-0. I felt like we came unhinged.
One of the plays that also struck me was a 4th and 26 they had the punt, so the defense did its job, but then a special teams penalty on a funky penalty. I don't know if it was legit or not, but the jumping of Tim Ward. Tell us about that a little bit, because I think that turned momentum as well.
It did. As you mentioned, a big stop by the defense. We get a sack. It looks like we're going to get the ball back, and this is early. This is when it's 7-0, and Ward comes through, and what we were trying to get Tim to do was split the shield, and he went to jump up, which he also does on extra point and field goal. He's got such a good vertical leap. He's long, and when he jumped up, his momentum carried him into the shield, and that's a 15-yard unsportsmanlike and an automatic first down. So that's how they go from 4th and 26 to 1st and 10.
Do you like that call? Is that a call for safety's sake, etc.?
It is. It's a call for safety's sake, and unfortunately his momentum carried it into it, and he felt awful about the play, but other than that, he played exceptional in this game. He had 7 tackles. He's going to start this week. Also, Miles Fox, who played well, had 5 tackles in this game. So we're going to start 2 freshmen in the defensive line this week. Those kids are playing well, and they're both getting better.
You talk about youth, not as an excuse, just as a fact. When things started going south a little bit, did the youth rear its ugly head a little bit in terms of the ability to deal with adversity that came on all at once?
It's harder on young players who haven't been in the situation before, but it's certainly no excuse. It's no excuse to lose a game 49-0, and I just mentioned 2 younger players, 2 true freshmen who played extremely well. Keyshawn Strong, a true freshman, was playing well in this game. Unfortunately, late in the game, we had the missed exchange between Schuler and Keyshawn, but the younger players are playing well, and what you want to do and what I need to do as a head coach is to get them to accept this, to own this embarrassment, and to come out this week and say something like this is never going to happen again.
Time to turn the page, and as the head coach of a young team, what do you do to try and get them back on track, back where they want to be?
Well, the number one thing I want to see this week, and I expect we'll see, Ted, is a great week of practice. Yesterday, the players asked me to have a players-only meeting. I thought they'd get together for 5 minutes and talk a few things out. Well, it was a half hour. They were in the room for 30 minutes, and I didn't ask them specifically what it was about, but a couple of the guys told me that it was an outstanding meeting. They want to get back to the excitement level we had from preseason. They felt like they've lost that a little bit, and they want to be energized this week in practice and come out and show who we really are against Marshall.
Monarchs hit the road to Huntington this week to take on the Thundering Herd, a tall task. We remember what happened a year ago. How do you prepare for the Thundering Herd? What's their biggest weapon?
This is a team, Ted, that's won 16 of their last 18 games. They were 13-1 last year. They're 3-1 this year. Outstanding football team that plays well at home, and what we're going to need to do is be an energized football team, play with a lot of energy in this game, and get some things going offensively. That's the number one task right now. We need to get some things going offensively. We need to rally behind our quarterback, which means we've got to block better up front. We've got to run good routes, catch the ball. I think Shula will respond this week. You know, he owned this after the game, which was admirable by him, but like I explained to him and the team, he didn't play one snap of special teams. He didn't play one snap of defense, but he has to play better for us at quarterback, and we need to rally around him.
It was certainly a perfect example of how mistakes, no matter how hard or well you're playing, if you make too many mistakes, you aren't going to beat a good team.
No doubt about that, Ted. And when we're talking about Shula Bentley right now, what gets lost is he went 16 for 28 in the game. He's on his reads. It was a difficult day to throw the ball with wind and rain. And I've played quarterback. I've coached it all my life, and those are hard days to play. But he made a couple poor decisions, which he had not done on his 2 interceptions. Those are both misreads, and that happens when you're trying to force something, when you're trying to get something going. So we got to get him to regroup and get back to the quarterback who was playing really well against Eastern Michigan earlier in the year on the road, and then against Norfolk State.
Coach, one thing I noticed yesterday, the sun did come out, and we kept breathing and we kept putting one foot in front of the other, and that's what you have to do.
Yeah, it's certainly when you're a college football player and you have a performance like we had Saturday, or I should say a result like we had. I talk to the kids a lot about turning setbacks into comebacks, and the way you do that is with a positive mental attitude, and you've also got to be a little, for lack of a better term, a little pissed off. You got to be a little upset about that performance and get that taste out of your mouth the next week, and that's the goal.
Coach, we'll see you in Huntington.
I can't wait.
That's Bobby Wilder. I'm Ted Alexander with the latest edition of Wake Up with Wilder.